Get everything you need for your next job without the hassle at AquaBluMosaics.com. We carry everything from high-quality pool tile, porcelain pavers, grout, fire and water features, and everything in between that you need to get your project done and put some money in your pocket. A literal showroom in the palm of your hand, we are the most powerful tool any pool contractor can have in their pocket. Become an Aqua Pro and save money on every order, get free samples, and have full access to our unmatched customer service. Easy to remember, hard to forget. Visit AquaBluMosaics.com.
Welcome back to the Pool Magazine podcast. I'm your host, Joe Trusty, and today I'm joined once again by a good friend of the show, Vito Mariano, president of Bascrete Technologies. If you work with concrete, plaster, waterproofing, or you try to keep pool finishes looking brand new, chances are you've heard of Bascrete. Today, we're diving into some of their latest innovations coming out of their camp, NanoSet, Suede, and their fiberglass mesh products. Vito, great to have you back on the show with us.
Always, Joe. Pleasure, my friend.
Let's kick things off with NanoSet. I mean, what's this product all about, and what problems does it solve for those doing pool plaster jobs?
Additives. My whole background goes back almost 40 years with plaster. I think I'm the only guy out there that's ever had patents in pool plaster. I think I've got 6 or 7 of them. Everybody uses them. It's fine. It's good. It changed the industry. So about 15 years ago, I decided to come up with some enhancers with some of the chemicals that I was working with. They're all non-toxic. I brought it on the market because I was doing some major testing with pool plaster. And I was personally blown away by the results I was getting to enhance it. And, and when I brought it out at the time, we're about $120 per pool. That was going to be the cost per pool. I was pretty well getting laughed at. And I decided, nobody was going to be interested in it. So I kind of shelved it. And I kind of tweaked it over the last couple of years. I thought, let me just bring it on. I have competitors out there. I thought, let me do something to lower the price and make it more accessible for people to use up in the market. And what it does is, it reduces the pigment loss of the modeling, especially the plaster dust. It allows more cream for workability, and which minimizes callbacks from the customer. It will totally change the way guys work with it and the results you get from finishing the pool plaster, whether it's a blend on site or a pre-blended material. It all starts with, helping to the calcium hydroxide, the release that you get from the spikes in the pH in the plaster. So once you try it, you'll see the big difference. And we've sold quite a bit of it just in the first month, I should say.
I've taken a look at some of the literature you have on the website. I've seen it mentions more predictable startups and reduced permeability. I mean, can you elaborate on how NanoSet maybe helps limit scale formation, chemical damage, things like that?
Yeah, so the type of the matrix, let's look at it this way. If your pool plaster was a plane of glass, even though it's a breathable material, you are densifying the material and you throw pure acid on glass. It doesn't do anything. I mean, if you let it sit there long enough, you're going to start etching it. So what happens with pool plaster, because of you got your typical Portland cement, you might have some polyls, some silica fumes in it, and then you have the aggregate. The amount of exposure you get from chemicals inside a swimming pool changes the matrix so fast, all the way from, the applying it, the way its workability is, the hydration, the permeability, because it becomes very porous, and then the wash down, which most of the pool plasters today are exposed. They do that either by acid or using water to expose it. Once you start removing that important cream coat, you have a lot more exposure to intrusions with hard water, chemicals that's inside swimming pools. You want to be able to lock that in. And then if you have pool plaster that has pigment in it, you're not encapsulating those pigments anyway. You're exposing them to the UV and to the chemicals, and you start losing that consistency. Then you start getting the modeling effect. So you want to be able to encapsulate it. It's like taking pool plaster and dropping it inside a plastic bottle, and you're protecting it from, you're looking at it. Visually, it looks beautiful. But you want to protect it from the natural elements and all the different types of chemicals that pools are introduced to. Yeah, big benefit. And we're doing great with it. We love it.
I was speaking with a mutual friend of ours, Jason Evans. He was definitely validating some of the things that you were just talking about. I mean, he's a respected contractor in our industry. He told me, so far, it's been a great product, Joe. I mean, it hasn't affected the workability in any negative way. Some additives do cause issues, but this hasn't at all. It really keeps the color bright and vibrant, and that's the biggest plus for us. I mean, can you speak to some of what Jason's seeing on it, especially that benefit of color retention and reduced plastic cure-related scaling?
Yeah, exactly. Well, and thanks. So I've worked with Jason Evan for many years. He uses Bascrete. I've worked with him some pretty nice, interesting jobs, as well as other contractors I work through. I mean, right now we're doing about 4,000 pools a month, and we're still expanding. So yeah, once you integrate the matrix, which is the pool plaster, right? Like the amount of dust you get off it, that gets eliminated, so you don't have to go there every day for a week and start brushing it down and removing all the scale in that. So the whole benefit is the whole theory is to encapsulate the pool plaster. Like I said, you want to encapsulate the pigments, the fine particles, which is the Portland cement, and any other type of additives that are in there, like silica fume and pozzolanic type of material. What this does is fills in those little tiny capillaries, makes it tight, increases the strength in psi. It also reduces the amount of permeability because after you expose pool plaster to the elements by using a wand, water to wash it down and expose it, or muriatic acid, you open up all those pores for everything to attack it. What the nanoset does is fills that in, so when it is exposed, you don't have the entry of a foreign material that gets in there.
Now, let me ask you something. I mean, nanoset's not just for new builds, it could be integrated into replastering, remodel jobs as well, right?
Anything that's got cement in it, yes. If it has cement in it, it reacts with the calcium hydroxide. And once it gets released with the pH, and then you get the different spikes, as long as it's got Portland cement in it, you're going to be able to have it activated.
Let me ask you, what other kind of feedback have you received from applicators, finishes, startup techs in the field?
Same thing. They just love the way first of all, for an applicator, their perspective is it could be the best material in the world. If they can't apply it, if it's too difficult to work with, it's too temperamental, they're not going to like it. What this adds is workability to the material. It makes your life easier. If you want it applies easier. And then the other part of the whole thing is the cost. We're definitely more competitive on the market price wise with similar type of materials that are out there. And like I said, I've been working with pool plaster even with my patents for many years. I know how the cement aggregate works combined inside swimming pools. I mean, you have stucco, it's still a stucco. You have stucco that's put exterior in a wall and it's left there for years and years. Once you start dropping it inside a pool with chemicals, it completely changes what you're working with. And the other thing too is with pool plaster, it's 90% of the visual you have inside a swimming pool. You want to be able to hand it over to a customer that can maintain it at ease, or if it's being serviced by a service company, you want to be able to have it looking beautiful. Like I've said it before, if you buy a Rolls Royce and it has a horrible paint job, you have a Rolls Royce with a horrible paint job. You have a swimming pool that has 90% of what you're looking at is whatever's inside that water, which is the plaster or tile. You want to be able to maintain its beauty for as long as you possibly can. That's for the homeowner. For the customer that's applying it for the plaster applicator, the last thing he wants is to have callbacks, is to have clients upset, is to walk away from the job site and then it's out of your hands after that. For some reason, homeowners and companies always think it's the plaster's fault. I'm a plasterer by trade. That's the beginning of who I am 50 years ago. They get blamed for everything. And they should really, if the material goes on good and they know how to blend it and they know how to apply it and they did a good job, they don't know what's inside the material themselves. They just know what they mixed. They add water or whatever. They apply it. That's all they need to know. They don't need to know really anything else about it. That's our job as manufacturers, to make sure that we hand over the best product that they can apply to eliminate callbacks for them. That's, to me, it's the most important. I remember when I was out in the field many years ago, my God, people picked on everything.
They still do. I get 100% agree with you. I mean, the plaster is somewhat putting on the final touches to the project. I mean, that's the finisher. So he's the guy that everybody's looking to make it look like a ready for prime time job.
Exactly right. Can you imagine what they go through every day? Like their day is hard. I mean, they're on their hands and knees all day applying material.
Sure.
They go home, they're exhausted. They don't want complications. They don't want, the burden goes to the owner, right? The owner who has all these contractors come in, all their applicators, that's what they do. That's their profession. And, the amount of grief that they get from homeowners and pool companies that call, the onus always falls on them. And for all, even for the finest details. So I've always been focused on what can we do for that final detail to look exposed and as beautiful as they can by giving them something they can apply that's easier for them to make their day a little bit easier if possible.
So this is going to make their job easier.
Yeah, it's going to make their job easier. It's going to make the owner of the pool plaster company get less phone calls, less hostility from the customers, and they'll be able to walk away with having to do a good job, which is what they normally do. But having that what they did as a good job maintain itself for a lot longer period of time.
Let's switch gears for a minute, Vito, and talk about another product that I've seen you pumping this summer. That's suede microceramic. You got that marketed as all-in-one cementitious membrane that works underwater. I mean, what makes this product different from your traditional Bascrete waterproofing membrane?
It could be exposed in and out of the water, which plaster cannot. Plaster is meant to be submerged. This does not. We can go up and over. You can eliminate the tile lines. We use it primarily for beach entries because it could be exposed, and it's a waterproofing membrane. We have a standard of eight colors, and it's made with a porcelain-based material. And it's the aggregate is porcelain-based, and that's the big difference. We're doing quite a bit with it. I don't want to promote it too much for pool plaster because pool plaster cannot be beat as a product out there. I don't want to compete with the pool plaster industry, but we want to be able to use it under certain applications, especially in the gutters, the overspills, things like that.
I got you here to put you on the spot. I mean, what's the most traction that you're seeing for suede? Is it pools, rooftops, water features? I mean,
It's the water features, fountains, water features, koi ponds, but that product is mostly being used for walls, interior, exterior walls for stucco. And it has, if you've ever been to Europe, especially Italy, they have the old fashioned looking Venetian walls. It looks like suede. That's why we call it suede. It has a beautiful finish, very easy to work with. And, it's still, again, if you look at it, it's a stucco. But the only difference with it is it's the same recipe as what we have in Bascrete. The compound is substituted instead of using silica sand. We use it's pure white porcelain. Now, what we do with the porcelain in order to integrate the color is we burn it. We cook it to a certain degree so it's pigmented. So we don't pigment it. It's actually cooked to the color like an iron oxide from car engines to make iron oxide pigments that they use for the construction industry. That's pretty interesting.
Oh, how do the two systems work together? And why is that important to use them in tandem?
It's a good point, Joe. Thanks for bringing that up. So when say you have a concrete wall, you want to use a base. The base would be the Bascrete, say the white Bascrete, and then you apply the suede. You pick the color that you want because you want to have at least minimum 1/8 of an inch thick. The suede membrane is very thin. It's a thin micro topping. So the base would always be the Bascrete. That's your base first, and then you apply this as a finish. It's like applying paint over top of drywall or concrete, but it's troweled on or sprayed. And it's a very easily workable material. Now, we do have in Europe, because they don't have the tradespeople to do plaster, and I can never figure this out for years. The best plaster guys for swimming pools are in North America. Hands down, nobody can touch them, nobody can go near them. They don't want to have that skill anywhere in Europe. So believe it or not, they're using suede for inside swimming pools to substitute for plaster because they don't have the manpower or the ability to do it. And they're coming up and over, no tiles because that's the way they design their pools, and on the decks. And it looks beautiful. And I think the whole industry, we've posted so many pictures, it does look beautiful. And then I'm working with Pebble Tech in Dubai, and they're using quite a bit of Bascrete. And we're introducing suede to them for not to substitute for plaster, but some of the other innovative stuff on the decks and that, they're looking at using it for.
A relatively new product for you guys. I mean, is this something that most pool pros can easily adopt? Does it have the same short learning curve as learning the Bascrete system?
Yes, absolutely. Hands down. If you can use the trowel, you can use suede. Yeah. So if you have the skill, that's the other funny thing. And I'm sure a lot of people that listen to this will relate to it. Just because you have a tool in your hand, a lot of people think, I can trowel. Looking at a guy putting plaster on a wall or inside a swimming pool. May look easy, but it's not. It is far from being easy. It's a skill. And it takes years to develop a skill. Some takes a lot longer. Some adapt it very quick. And a plaster that is a professional plaster can tell that a guy, by the lack of experience he has, the second he picks up a trowel, they know right away by just picking it up what type of experience that they have.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's get into something that quite literally ties the whole system together, your fiberglass mesh system. I mean, what's special about fiberglass mesh that you offer compared to other systems on the market?
Yeah, so that would be mesh that is integrated inside our Extreme. So our Bascrete Extreme. It's an identical product. You use it and blend it the same exact way you do everything with Bascrete for waterproofing. But what we've done is we've introduced it to fiber. They're nylon fiber. There's about 1 million per square inch, and it adds more flexibility to the application. We still have mesh, which are rolls of mesh. The Extreme is something that we started to develop about 4 years ago in Europe for a lot of those, I guess, old buildings that have their all deteriorated an awful lot. They needed to get tied in. So what we wanted to do is bring it to the market here, start blending it in North America, predominantly for the ICF industry, because ICF has to be completely mesh, which is a real pain in the neck. So we eliminated applying the mesh, and we incorporated the fiber mesh inside the actual compound. So when you're applying it to the wall, you can't even see it until you break it in half. You can see the millions of fibers that are in it. We're having amazing success with that for the not just the ICF industry, but repair work inside swimming pools. Yeah, the other part is some guys are using it for when they're applying and rolling it. If you look up close, you can see thousands of little fibers that are sticking outside of it. When you plaster, pool plaster, or any type of plaster stuck over top of that, the fibers get hooked into the plaster, which creates a lot better bond to the material. Because pool plaster, the second you introduce it to water, the first thing it wants to do is hydrate, and it wants to pull away from the substrate.
Right.
In a swimming pool, it's the gunite or shotcrete or whatever. It wants to pull away as it's hydrating. If you got a material in there that wants to hold it in, that's what the fibers will help do. It helps hold the plaster to the waterproofing or to the substrate.
You mentioned the ICF a minute ago. Let me pick your brain about something that I've seen recently. I feel like I'm seeing more ICF related pool jobs. Are you seeing the same thing on your end?
Yeah, huge. So in another very interesting point. So about, oh God, I guess it's been about 20 years now. I was approached by the largest ICF company. They wanted to train people and put a spec together, which I did. I think I was the first one to ever put specs together for ICF for swimming pool. They're still using it out there. So I think the first ICF pool started about 20, 25 years ago, and it's growing, and I see it everywhere. And the number one reason why, it has to do with skill. It's like building Lego blocks. Anybody can build a Lego blocks, and you can build a pool. Once you know the mechanical part of the swimming pool, the plumbing and all that, that's the hardest part of building a pool for an ICF pool. Because they don't have the skill set in a lot of different places for guys that can shoot pools. They're building them out of ICF, which is insulated concrete foam. So it's 2-inch foam that is tied together with these little braces, and then inside is an 8-inch wall of concrete that you pour, and outside of that, it gets buried in the dirt is a 2-inch expanded polystyrene. I think it's a perfect system, and it's easy. Anybody can build a pool. And the reason why it's growing probably more in the Caribbean is the lack of tradespeople that know how to do the work. So I have developed the system for the ICF industry, and that is the Extreme. And that's eliminating the mesh, which is nobody's been able to do before. And we're having really good success with it.
Well, it seems like Basecrete's always evolving into a more complete system provider. I mean, was that always the plan to create a lineup of complementary materials and different systems that integrate with one another like this?
Yeah, there's always been my mindset for years. I started manufacturing, I think, in 1988. When I threw my trowels away around 1988. Believe it or not, what's really strange? I still miss it. Still miss the physical part of. I used to go home, I was so tired, I couldn't even move. I couldn't leave my truck to go inside the house and relax. I still kind of miss it. I just can't physically do it anymore. I'm getting too old for it. But it's it's a labor of love. But I've always thought, way from back then when I started manufacturing, I don't even know how we started manufacturing. I think I was introduced to an engineer from Italy that really got me intrigued on all this stuff. And within 5 years, I was producing and manufacturing some really interesting stuff, including pool plaster. I really rocked the market about 30 years ago with pool plaster. They just burnt me out. That business really burnt me out. I sold it. And then the Basecrete was always shelved, thinking that one day maybe we might be able to use it for something. And then the waterproofing industry for the pool industry opened up. It's like we wanted to, again, going back to Rolls Royce, you want to be able to have a beautiful prime underneath that car in order to conserve the paint job on it. It's a very expensive, $30,000 to paint a Rolls Royce. You want to make sure you have something that protects it underneath it. It's the same theory for swimming pools. I personally think, not because I'm in the business, but every pool should be waterproofed. And the industry's finding out the benefits they're getting from it. And I think that's probably why we're doing 3,000 to 4,000 pools a month. That's just in our pool division. So we're busy little bees at our office.
That kind of growth is definitely sustaining all of these new endeavors of yours. I can see that. I mean, it's also clear to see that you're a man who's very comfortable with a trowel in his hand. I've seen you at the trade shows constantly giving demos. Trade show season is right around the corner. Where can Pool Pros catch up with you guys this season to learn more about these new products and offerings?
Well, we're going to be in Vegas, everything under the sun. We'll be at all the shows. We'll be at, oh my God, all the shows, NPC. We're doing a big Genesis show in our, I think it's a 3-day show in Fort Lauderdale. Yeah, we're everywhere. We're doing Lyon in France. We're doing the one in Milan, Italy. We're doing a Canadian show. Yeah, I can't even keep up. I don't deal with that anymore. My office does, because I just got burnt out. They just tell me where to write the checks.
Vito, as always, it's great catching up and hearing what's next for you guys. I mean, for contractors and builders listening, where's the best place to learn more about NanoSet, Suede, Bascrete Extreme?
Well, call our office, open up our website. We can introduce one of our local reps. We have 65 reps in North America. They're everywhere. We can introduce you. We can train you, which we'll do. You can go online. You can call us direct. We're always accessible to everybody. And we are in the process of training all of our reps on how to go to all the job sites to do actual installation of NanoSet, other than the rest of the products that they're trained to do. So we're out there, and we'll be out there even more.
Well, thanks for checking in with us, Vito. Pleasure as always, my friend.
You too, and thanks for your magazine. I love it. It's the best we've ever seen. Keep it up, Joe.
We'll include some links in the show notes for our listeners. Thanks for everyone tuning in. Make sure to keep up with us on the latest episodes of Pool Magazine Podcast, where we keep you informed about the latest products, pros, and poolside innovations that are shaping the industry. Make sure to like, share, follow, and subscribe, and we'll catch you next time on another episode of Pool Magazine Podcast.
Get everything you need for your next job without the hassle at AquaBluMosaics.com. We carry everything from high-quality pool tile, porcelain pavers, grout, fire and water features, and everything in between that you need to get your project done and put some money in your pocket. A literal showroom in the palm of your hand, we are the most powerful tool any pool contractor can have in their pocket. Become an Aqua Pro and save money on every order, get free samples, and have full access to our unmatched customer service. Easy to remember, hard to forget. Visit AquaBluMosaics.com.